All right, we're live. Bruce, would you mind chairing the meeting?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get my little note thing on that. Hang on one sec.
Looks like Kelly's here.
Oh, good.
Kelly, would you like to chair the meeting? Kelly, would you like to chair the meeting? Bruce, would you mind chairing the meeting?
Not at all. Okay, I now call to order the City of College Place Economic Development Tourism and Events Commission meeting at 5:03 p.m. Will the clerk please take the roll call?
Commission Member Warner?
Here.
Commission Member Lean? Commission Member Lean? Commission Member Case?
Here.
Commission Member Congleton? Commission Member Peck? Here. Commission Member Moorhead?
Here.
And Commission Member Allen?
Here.
Okay.
Commission Member Lean is online, but does not have audio currently. But we do have a quorum.
Okay, great. Did anyone submit a public comment in advance?
I did not receive any public comments.
Okay, if anyone in attendance, virtual, actual attendance would like to speak, please raise your hand now. *9 is used to raise your hand if you're connected by phone. And we'll now move on to the consent agenda, consisting of just our adopted rules of parliamentary procedure, that whole thing. They provide
The
Sorry?
agenda for today, January 8th, and the minutes from the December 4th, 2023 meeting.
Oh, yeah, right. Thank you. Sorry. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes from December 4th, 2023?
So moved.
Second,
A second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, are there any items that anyone would like to be removed from the consent agenda? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. I guess we're jumping right to the action agenda, the selection of chair, vice chair, for 2024, Ms. St. Clair.
Yes, would someone like to volunteer to be the chair for 2024 or the vice chair for 2024?
I nominate Bruce for chair.
I'm gonna get Kelly for this. I'll volunteer to be chairperson.
And vice chair?
I'll volunteer to be the vice chair.
Okay, and can we get a motion selecting the chair and the vice chair for 2024?
Who spoke up for vice chair? Sorry.
Commissioner Peck did.
I move that Bruce Moorhead and Commissioner, what did you say?
Allison Peck.
Oh, I'm sorry. Allison
okay.
Peck be vice chair. We haven't met, so my apologies. For vice chair.
And a second?
Second.
Do you want to vote, Sherry?
Yes, please.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? There it is, Sherry.
Thank you.
Moving to agenda items, staff reports. Let's see, the first one is the potential second tax increment financing district. Mr. Rizzatello.
Hey, thank you. So I included some information about what a tax increment financing district is, as well as a PowerPoint. We have one in place already, the downtown Stone Creek one, that straddles College Avenue through the downtown area and then the property across from the high school. The whole purpose of tax increment financing is essentially do a study, you figure out what conservative estimates, what the potential for additional sales tax revenue would be, and other revenues should development transpire. And then what you're able to do is with essentially tax revenue inside the district via junior levies, you're able to bank any capacity created from development in the future for the next like 20 years into a fund to fund infrastructure, to pay for essentially water, sewer, things like that, to further the investment and then usher in quicker payback. The first tax increment finance district we did is primarily funded by it'll be bond debt. This one would be a much more conservative one. It would be like pay as you go. So essentially as revenue is amassed. And the idea here is to essentially use the revenue to try furthering some projects that would really act as a boon along the Whitman Drive corridor. So Sherry, if you could click on the GIS map. So the general issue here is we have a couple of projects that are getting near ready, that do have some good potential. But in order to really see them through to the finality, there are some significant infrastructure enhancements that need to be made. If you look at this map, anything in light green blue here is generally the proposal for the secondary TIF district. And this one, if we end up pursuing this, first of all, we would need to have the official study done so we will understand what would pull in and what the estimates for various projects would be. But then some of the projects we would look at doing would be the traffic circle behind the Home Depot, kickstart that development across the way behind Home Depot. Also pedestrian street lamps along Whitman Drive. Our portion of the intersection treatment at Myra Road and Garrison Village Way. There is a vacant commercial parcel on our side of the Myra Road that essentially has been encumbered from growth because the intersection hasn't been improved to a stoplight or anything. And then City of Walla Walla essentially can stop us from developing that until something happens with the intersection. And then also the idea as well is to potentially look at some improvements near the university because we've seen a major complaint from those hawk signals. A lot of people don't understand how to drive through them, and most areas in this state don't even have it anymore. We were a test case back in the day, and that's one of the reasons you don't see them much anymore. So changing it with something a little more conducive. And then also some infrastructure around the Martin Airfield area as that pops up, whether it be water, sewer, a portion of the additional water tank, things like that. So this one would not include issuing debt. It would be more so of a pay as you go as the various projects pop up and accrue the money. So that way we could over time work on the infrastructure. Each locality can only do up to 2 tax increment financing districts. This, if we did pursue this, would be our second one. City of Walla Walla is in the end stages of doing a tax increment financing district on their portion of Myra Road, including the south extension. And then the port just did a tax increment financing district that runs all the way from Burbank down to Wallula. So that's a little bit of some test case examples from nearby. But this is just some introductory information, but I just wanted to gauge the temperature of the commission before I start to get estimates on the TIF study and things of that nature. Is this something you will all be interested in, supportive of? Is there any questions? Things along that line.
Mike, this is Doug. Does the public have to vote on this, or how's that handled?
The public does not vote on it. Essentially, there are 2 public meetings that are held. So they're open houses where information is given to the community. And again, if we were to do this, you would have to do a full-on study where it would itemize the cost of stuff and how this would all go down. And then essentially beyond the 2 public meetings, if this were going to final stages, we would of course be bringing us forward at the monthly meetings of this body and then city council as well for their approval, just like what we did with the last one.
Do you have a estimate of how much revenue it would generate?
I have no clue because was literally just me drawing a map and listing out the projects to see if there was interest. The study would need to identify that, and we believe they'd be able to do it in a very timely fashion because they already have a lot of baseline information from the first study that was done for the downtown Stone Creek TIF.
So who has to pay for the study?
So the study for that to be done, that would be the city that would essentially pay for that.
So do you have any funds, I guess, allocated in the current budget?
This one we do not have funds allocated towards it. In fact I need to begin estimates to even because again I wasn't gonna waste time if there wasn't interest in this at all. I'm just running this through to see if folks think this is an idea to chase or not.
And who, I guess, who pays as far as, is it just businesses or all properties within the city limits?
Well, so it isn't all properties within the city limits. It would be the properties within the highlighted areas. And keep in mind that they aren't paying an additional tax or anything. Should something like this be created, essentially taxes being collected today would continue to go to all of the taxing jurisdictions. It's just the increment above the baseline would then go into the fund for some of the junior districts, essentially to fund this infrastructure. But at the end of the day, they would essentially see greater revenue because again, it's going to further the additional development.
Well, I would be in favor of seeing what it would cost.
Okay.
That's just my feeling. If it's not going to increase tax,
No.
but it's gonna just reallocate it, I'd be interested in seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. This Bruce, you know, it was very attractive the first go around, so I would vote to proceed.
Okay.
I would as well. I think it's those type of funding projects are always good, depending, of course, on what it costs to move that forward.
Okay. Okay, well, hearing nothing further, then I will get some prices from the consultant. I'll get some additional information to bring forward.
Thanks, Mike. The next item for our next report is the Downtown Association discussion. Mr. Rizzatello.
Okay, thank you. So this for folks that have been around a long time is going to sound like a broken record, but every time we have a changeover in commission members, I'll just bring this up and see where it goes. So cities that have the downtown associations, if you have one and it's a full-fledged main street, what the downtown association is able to do is essentially opt into this B&O tax credit program that the state has, where essentially at the start of a new year, businesses that pay the state your B&O tax, instead of paying the state, you get to opt into this Main Street B&O credit program, and then you pay your local Main Street association and instead of paying the state, and then it goes to help pay for events and things like that to further the downtown. We've brought this up a litany of times in the past, and it tended to sputter and die because of lack of volunteers and so forth. What I originally tried to do this legislative session was I was trying to get a bill put together where a downtown association could essentially represent 2 downtown districts, but it tended to face some opposition from the statewide Main Street Association and so forth. So they are willing to essentially provide some technical assistance and maybe help try to get the word out in our community to see if we could get something going in the city. I'm trying to put the onus a lot on them since they're not being cooperative on this shared Main Street idea I came up with. But if we were to get a Main Street group going in here and the B&O tax credit thing, they've upped the cap on that. So essentially you can have businesses all together allocate up to 200,000, and then the downtown group would be able to keep that for events and things, business grants, things like that. In fact, when I was in Colfax, that's how a lot of their programs and their incubator and everything else took root. So I just want to bring it up since we have some newer folks on this commission as well. If you think there may be folks in the community, in the college place that would be interested in it, and then I can get the state Main Street folks to try to put together some informational sessions to see if we could stand something up. Because the tragedy of the situation is we're forfeiting a ton of money right now. I mean, you're having to pay it to Olympia regardless, except it's going over there. Part of the reason it's been so hard to stand up a Main Street group here has mainly been around time commitments, and I mean with the Main Street organization approach, you essentially have to have like subcommittees and things. And the last couple times we've tried to get something stood up, at the end of the day, very few people would show up. As thus, it's a shame because we're forfeiting a lot of money that could stand up community activities. So now that we have some new people on here, I just wanted to throw it out to hear if anyone has different opinions on this.
Last time you raised this, Mike, didn't you mention that in the program there's well, the executive director position, it's a paid position, isn't it?
Yeah, so if we did stand one of these up, there would have to be an executive director, would be full-time. The Main Street group, the state Main Street group, they actually have a grant that goes to help pay for that. The big issue was the last time when you're putting in that grant application, you have to show that there's like some folks, you know, in a group or in a advisory group or at least a start of one. And because we've always had an issue with getting a group of folks together, that's why we didn't score highly the last time.
So, yeah, I've worked with Main Street groups in my role now for over 10 years, and they tend to be expensive to run. And more importantly, they run on continuous need for volunteers. It doesn't go away. I'm wondering, because I'm relatively new to the community, let alone to College Place. So I'm wondering if you've done a recent survey of your businesses to see what their interest might be, to, you know, kind of take take the temperature of the room and
Yeah, we could put a
volunteers
survey
as well.
together to do that.
I think that's a good first step, you know, because if you give them some information and show them what you could do with the revenue, then it might be worth the investment of time and, you know, but I think you need to really take the pulse of the room.
Okay.
Have you visited other Main Street foundations comparable to College Place size?
Well, I have, in fact, I previously worked at that was about a third of the size of here. I mean, Colfax had a pretty big one as well. That's one of the things that's always been a little weird since we're a neighbor with a much larger city. I've noticed that's acted as a drag to getting some volunteers for stuff over on the side of my at least that's my opinion of it, because I've just noticed relative to like when I was in Colfax, it's a lot harder.
Well, even though you, as you stated, you've made this attempt a number of times, I'd be in favor of another round. I do like Arlene's idea. I mean, business owners like us, the bank in the city of College Place, would be active, I believe, if the whole thing was, kind of laid out the right way, and maybe the start point is just like you say, getting the temperature of the business owners in the community.
Agreed. I'll tell the Main Street folks to help put together something, and then we can see what we get from it. Because I'm really trying to put the pressure on them since they torpedoed the idea of a joint one, which to me made a much greater, easier issue.
Yep. Anything else on this topic, Mike?
No, that's all I have for that one.
Okay, the last staff report is the 2024 draft economic development flyers.
Okay, thank you. This is newer information I always pull at the start of each fiscal year, put on our economic development website. So the first one you'll see is essentially just some key fact information around College Place, where it has like graphics about key facts, education, businesses, employment, and then your income. So you'll see various graphics with that. But then beyond that, what we try to do to showcase where businesses are at is a couple of years ago, we engaged with the Rural Community Design Initiative out of Washington State University, where with the community, they did a mapping activity of really delineate business districts in the community. And from that, essentially, they had a Commercial Drive one, College Avenue, Myra Road, and then Meadowbrook and Stone Creek. We have a general marketing flyer, but then we do have flyers for the bigger business districts that have vacant land and business opportunities. So the downtown flyer, when you click on that, you'll see each one has a general map of the business district with some of the key businesses. And then the data points we have split out where you can see the 10, 30, and 45-minute drive time. And in general, the good news is our population content for the 45-minute drive time continues to go well above the 70,000, and that tends to be the make or break threshold for the bigger boxes. So that's good news there. I will say the thing as you look at it, that continues to be quite shocking is when you look at the median home value and where they continue to project that that's going. Like when 10-minute drive time for the downtown area, you'll see in 2023 they had a 297, by 2028 shooting up at 436,000. So that continues to showcase affordability challenges here. And then additionally, for each of these business corridors, we also have consumer spending for within the 45-minute drive time across key sectors. So you can see that breakout there. So that College Avenue is the downtown one. And then you'll see we have the other ones. So Meadowbrook and Stone Creek, that covers the area up by Walmart. Then we try to put pictures so folks understand where everything is at. Then we also have the Myra Road flyer as well that has all of the data points there. And then the general economic profile information from Esri Business Analyst that aggregates all of this information. So I want to get this out in front of you all in case there's any questions or anything that needs to be refined. Because the next meeting in February, then it'll go for an advisory approval vote because these ultimately get approved by you all, then City Council, and then it's incorporated into our marketing information for when we go to Vegas to try to get restaurants and recruiters and retailers and the hotel folks here. So this information is really key in those activities. Questions?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So I would encourage all commissioners to take a very close look at each flyer between now and the next meeting.
Okay, well, between now and the next meeting, if anyone has any questions or notices anything in there, please let me know. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Believe that's the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to conclude the meeting?
I motion to conclude the meeting.
Second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, our meeting is adjourned.